Welcome, I'm Paul, this is Dave, this little platypus, just revealing the truth. He is all-powerful, all-knowing. I think he's God, or master of the simulation, who knows really. So I have 17 Glitch in the Matrix and paranormal stories for you today. Ned must have a secret or two. Case file number 2680, written by William at VSA. The Phantom Quarter Pounder. This story involves me and two friends. I'll call them Luke and Ned. We were all on a night out. Ned drinks, but Luke doesn't. I only drink very rarely, and tonight I had 2 drinks over 6 hours. So I am sober, and was so when this happened. This night out was not a drunken pub crawl. We simply went out to view the city. When we were heading back to our hotel, Ned says he wants a burger, he'll see us tomorrow, and walks into a fast food place. Luke and I decide we'll wait for him because we do not want to make Ned walk alone. We walk to a convenience store across the street, then go back to standing outside the fast food place waiting for Ned. Very important, we see him there waiting for his food. We make a joke that he'll not even notice us when he comes out. He grabs his food and walks towards the door. That was the last I saw of him. The fast food place was on the corner of the street, and each direction when you exit is a long, open street. We were on the left corner. After a few seconds of waiting for him to pass us, we walked to the corner to look down the right side of the building. Nothing. We turn around and look back down the left side, thinking he'd passed us without us seeing. Nothing. He was gone. We thought he went to the restroom, but when we looked, there was no open restroom inside the shop, so we just decided to walk back to the hotel. It's important to note that from the time we saw him walk towards the door and us deciding to walk back to the hotel was maybe 20-30 seconds, not long at all. It was easily a half-mile walk from there to the hotel. It was a single open street. We could see anyone walking the street. Ned is a very noticeable person, so we couldn't have missed him at all. So there we are, Luke and I are discussing how weird this is. We wonder if Ned is going somewhere else before the hotel. We then decide to call Ned. Luke speaks to Ned very casually saying, "What's up? Where are you?" Ned says he's near the hotel, but we aren't even halfway back at that point. He would have had to have sprinted to the hotel to make it in that time. We hang up on Ned because I'm actually freaking out at this point. He starts texting us, asking us what's going on. A minute or so later, he says he's in his room already. We were still 5 minutes away. Ned then starts automatically defending himself, saying he's got long legs and walks fast, which I found odd because we hadn't outright questioned him getting to the hotel before us at that point. I'm very confused by this. The timeline is extremely off, and there's no way we wouldn't have seen him on that street. He is also not the type to sprint down a street. Well, you mentioned it was odd that he was defensive, and I agree. Perhaps he's one of those types that, if a glitch happens to them, they don't want to talk about it, or even believe it themselves, so maybe he encountered a space-time portal inside of the restaurant. He just appeared near or inside the hotel, and he just couldn't process that. Case file number 2681. Written by Diraccio. Clickbait for the simulation. 5 minutes ago, I was thinking about quantum entanglement and tried to figure it out by myself. How this phenomenon could be true, and how strange it is, just like the observer effect. At that moment, I came into my room and sat in front of my PC. The mouse wasn't there. After I noticed that, I checked underneath, in case it had fallen down and gotten stuck in the wires. That happens sometimes. Then after 7 seconds or so, I saw it reappearing. It might not sound that strange as it was, but it was actually impossible for my brain to ignore the mouse for a while. By the way, one fact makes this story twice as strange. I remember reading a comment yesterday, before I went to sleep, that item disappearance glitches are the most common and it's always fun to read about. True. After I read that comment, I wish the universe would send me one of those glitches so that I would stop procrastinating and would continue working on my projects, knowing for sure this is a simulation. So I can truly say yesterday I was 99% sure it was, but now I'm at 100%. Yeah, I'm probably still in that 99% range, but yeah, all true. To this story, all I can say is facts. Case file number 2682, written by Frequent Still 2333. Lime green, dark blue, and something new. While hiking Mount Morrison in Denver, I reached the saddle and turned right to continue up the trail. At the next opening and first set of trees, I came across an older couple descending the trail and looking tired. I noticed them more acutely because she stepped off the trail, assuming to use the restroom. She was in a lime green shirt, and he was in a dark blue shirt with a grossly oversized backpack for the type of trail it was. I nodded to the man, made eye contact, and kept on my way. On my descent from the summit, at the same exact spot of trees, I encountered the couple again. About an hour and 10 minutes had passed since the first seeing. This time they were heading up the trail. Same age, same color shirts, same oversized backpack. They acknowledged my presence, but not in a way where they seemed to recognize we had passed each other before. I was baffled, and I'm pretty sure my face expressed that. I considered that they might have taken an extremely long break at the trees, but why would they be going up the trail again when they had already come down it? Also, my afternoon and evening were completely different and unexpected, with many text messages and rover job offers that I would never have predicted to come in before starting that hike. Yeah, perhaps quantum immortality does lean that way. Case file number 2683, written by Tony Ann. Siri, are you in another dimension? I was at a lake with my phone in my lap, mapped the way home. Took a wrong turn. My phone was connected to my car via Wi-Fi, but I wanted to see the map. The phone was completely gone, and I had not left my car. I hadn't even opened the door. I was frantic because I didn't even know how to get back home. I have a second phone, which wasn't even charged, but I charged it and called my primary phone. I could hear it ringing, but it was muffled, so I thought it was under my seat with something on it. I made it to a gas station, pulled over, and looked. No phone. But I knew it had to be in my car because it was still connected to my car, until it wasn't. I thought, great, I've dropped it when I pulled over to look for it. As soon as I thought that, I swear it reconnected. I pulled over a total of 3 times, looked under the floor mats and everything. No phone, but I could hear a muffled ring when I called it. I finally decided it somehow got into the center console, and I just needed to get home. As soon as I pulled up and parked at my home, there was my phone at my feet. There is no way I did not see it. I even pulled up the floor mat, and to top it all off, my phone ringer was on mute, but it definitely had a muffled ring, and I called it probably 20 times. The only possible explanation is it teleported or something. Case file number 2684, written by Raving Rookie. Post-credit Poultry. I just finished watching an animated movie called Migration. This is the second time I've seen it. The first time was around when it first came to streaming services. I can't recall which one exactly, as it was at someone else's house, but I don't think it was Netflix, where I just watched it now. Maybe Amazon Prime? Anyways, at the start of the movie, the dad, an anthropomorphic duck, is telling his kids a made-up story about how they decided to leave the pond they live in, and then a bunch of predators come and eat them. There's an emphasis on herons being especially dangerous, and later in the movie, but still close to the beginning, they do end up meeting a heron during a storm, and she brings them to her home for shelter. She's really creepy, and the scene is meant to make you question her intentions, but ultimately, she ends up saving the kids from a carnivorous fish. The next morning, once the storm has cleared, she tells them to come back to her when they fly back, and I could have sworn there was a post-credit scene that showed this. I can't remember the exact details, I just remember thinking about the post-credit scene during that time, and towards the end of the movie, I was waiting for it to happen, but it never did. Everything I searched says that this movie has no post-credit scene. The people I watched the movie with don't remember this, so it seems to just be me. I know most people would think that this could just be explained as a dream, but my dreams aren't very vivid, and I remember this scene being in the exact style of the movie. The scene actually made sense. My dreams go all over the place. From what I can recall, the scene took place during the day, and the heron was still being nice, but creepy, and the parent still felt nervous around her. Well, I've never seen this movie, so I can't comment on that, but I know I've experienced a similar glitch where, well, it's kind of the opposite, where an episode of Stargate, and also one of TNG, that I had never seen, and keep in mind, I've rewatched these shows countless times, just those two episodes that they don't exist to me. I never saw them until I saw them once, but after rewatching the show countless times, that doesn't make sense. Now maybe it's somehow selective memory, my brain just didn't store that information in long-term memory for some reason, but the episodes weren't boring or bad, so I don't know. And this is the reverse of it. You have a post-credit scene that apparently never happened. I don't know which one is more disturbing. Case file number 2685, written by Aphrodite 4120. Episode 3 was a lie. So, this morning, I made breakfast and wrangled my homeschool teen up at 6:30 a.m. to come downstairs and eat. I put my food on a TV tray in the living room and turned on Haven Season 1, Episode 4. My teen joined me and kept asking questions about the show. So I said, "I've only watched 3 so far. Why don't you just watch them instead of me explaining?" I restarted them from the beginning. Since I've already seen them, I finished a book that I was reading and was almost done with. I was sitting on the far left of the couch, and she was on the far right when I finished my book. I popped on Amazon and ordered the next one to Kindle, but my phone was almost dead. So I asked for the phone charger on her end. I sat and read until the 3 episodes were up, approximately an hour and a half, then turned it off and sent the kid off to start schoolwork, and I got up to clean the house. After sweeping and all that jazz, I sat down on the couch in the same spot to read some more. But the cord for the charger didn't reach the far seat that I was in before. I went upstairs to follow up on the schoolwork and asked why she switched the charger cords in the living room, and when, since I didn't see her. She advised that she didn't, and it's never reached that far to the left of the couch. I could tell she was telling the truth about not taking it. I sat in the far right and read. As lunchtime approached, I got up and cooked lunch. She came down for a lunch break to eat, and once again, we decided to eat with the TV tray in the living room. My teen picked up the remote and went to the show. It was showing that it ended on episode 2 and started episode 3. I said, "It's not this one, you just watch this one." And she argued that she's never seen it. I replied, "This will be the 3rd time I watch it. You just watched this while I was sitting here with the long cord in my phone that's now mysteriously a short cord to read my 2nd book. I'm having vivid memories of her laughing at the scenes, comments about a taser, thinking someone was cute. I'm dizzy typing this. I feel like I'm losing my mind. The cord is different, and I watched a show with her that she didn't watch." Yeah, definitely an alternate universe going on here. Perhaps quantum immortality or something else. I mean, why would you have died in that moment? I don't know, but sudden death does happen, unfortunately. Case file number 2686, written by Fickle Requirement 4, Napping in the Wrong Universe. It was midday, and I was about to lay down for a bit, not ready to nap, just to relax. So I let my dog come lay down with me on the bed. She shakes when she sleeps, so I knew I couldn't fall asleep even if I really wanted to. So I ended up getting tired, and my dog started shaking because she started sleeping. That's when I realized I'd have to kick her out and put her in the kennel if I wanted to take a nap, so I did. I put her up and took a nap. So like an hour and a half later, I'm awakened by the bed shaking. You know how when you wake up, but you don't open your eyes? I did that. I woke up and just kept my eyes closed, trying to process how the heck the bed was shaking if I put my dog up. It felt like when your dog is scratching their ear and laying right by you. So I'm scared at this point and just pre-planned to jump sitting up and hurry up to see what's in the bed. I jump up and see my dog, or what looked like a blurry black figure, curled up right next to me. I got so incredibly scared that I jumped back down and closed my eyes. I almost instantly peeked again to make sure I wasn't tripping, and it wasn't there. Nothing in the room, and my dog was in her kennel. But I felt the room shaking. I saw the figure. I sat like 20 minutes outside, just had a strong feeling there was a timeline somewhere I was in bed with her. Just really weird, because I know I was awake and felt what I felt. Case file number 2687, written by Capricorn Experience, from Germany with Carbs. Work's been a bit rough lately, due to some hour shortages last month. Things are picking back up, thankfully. Because of that, things have been a bit tight, and currently I'm low on a lot of things, including groceries, until I get paid in a couple weeks. So today, I went to make something to eat. I knew I had ground beef in the fridge, so I figured I'd throw something together, maybe taco pasta or whatever. I make my own taco seasoning. Got the beef going in the pan, set a pot on the stove, reached into the cupboard for some pasta, and pulled out something I've never seen in my life. A pack of Burkel macaroni, labeled completely in German, with zero English anywhere on it. I live in Canada. I've never bought this. I've never even seen this brand in my life. It's not sold at any store I've ever been to. So there I am, just standing there, holding this foreign, obscure egg noodle like it's some kind of cursed object dropped from another dimension. I live alone. Nobody's been in my house for about a month, and the last time someone was here, it was for one reason, and it definitely wasn't to sneak German pantry goods into my cupboard. I order all my groceries online through a delivery service because I hate grocery shopping. So I went into the app to check. No record of it, not in any past order. I even searched the entire store's inventory. Burkel doesn't even exist on the platform. I've never been to Germany. And to make it weirder, a few months ago, I rearranged my kitchen. I moved all the pasta into a new cupboard. This pack wasn't there then. Hell, I was in that cupboard yesterday, it wasn't there. I just searched it online, and you can't even buy it in Canada. Only a few websites come up, and they're all German websites I've never heard of. This shouldn't be here. No logical explanation fits here, so I've fallen back to magic. I've had some experiences with the universe and a bit of manifestation weirdness. Maybe I manifested it without realizing. Maybe an alternate dimension version of me visited Germany and thought, you know what I need? A noodly souvenir. And that timeline crossed over this one. Or maybe two timelines crossed. One where German is a default language here because, I don't know, Germany won? I don't know, man. Or maybe there's a German god of pasta who looked down and said, he must eat today. Whatever the case, I'm shaken. Don't have an explanation. I just cooked the glitch, and it tasted alright, but since I couldn't read the label, I'm a bit concerned about whether there were terms of use for this magic pasta. Yeah, they get you on those terms of services, don't they? You wind up growing a magic beanstalk in your stomach. Well, a magic pasta pod? I don't know. Just grows out of your stomach like bursting from aliens. Hopefully it's not that bad. Case file number 2688, written by guest star. I drove smarter, not faster. One time, I was driving towards a service station for a cup of coffee. The usual route is first straight ahead, then left through traffic lights, then right from the next lights. Drive through another set of lights, then left from the next ones, right through a roundabout. Left through the next roundabout, straight, a left, and finally a right, and you'll be at the station parking lot finally. When driving towards the first set of lights, there was this annoying Audi tailgating me, trying to make me go faster. Nope. I drive for a living, and I'm not going to be fined because someone else is in a hurry. About 200 meters before the first set of lights, the road widens to 4 lanes, and the Audi whizzes by towards the first set of lights to turn left, the light being red. That's when I realized they were probably heading to the same place. So I took a left before the lights, took a shortcut, not actually a shorter way, just no lights, and was again in front of the Audi after they passed the lights, and the street is a 2-lane once again. At the next lights, they were turning right. I saw the indicator blinking. I decided to mess with them a bit, so instead of taking a right turn, I drove through the green light. They had to wait for some pedestrians to pass. At the next crossing, I took a right turn, no lights, then drove ahead, took a left turn, no lights, and I was close to the first roundabout, right before them. Their face was worth seeing when we got to the parking lot. They were exceeding the speed limit at all times. I wasn't in front of them, but I didn't have to be. I just skipped 3 sets of lights. Those shortcuts are not obvious, and they're not any shorter, just quicker in certain circumstances. Well, this isn't a glitch, I just found it a funny story and, kind of a life lesson. You don't have to rush. Instead, think smarter, work smarter. Don't overburden yourself. Case file number 2689, written by Antique Sugar 9627. 3 friends, 2 Bobas, and 1 glitch. So I was at a restaurant with my 2 friends, let's call them friend 1 and friend 2. Friend 1 ordered a boba. I swear that friend 2 said they also wanted boba, and the waiter looked right at him and confirmed she could get the boba for him. Anyway, my friends and I were talking afterwards, and I genuinely forgot how I got brought up, but somehow friend 2 and I got into an argument, well, really, no one was really mad or anything, about whether he ordered boba or not. I said that he did, and he said he didn't. So I had the waiter come over. I asked her how many bobas were ordered, and she said 2. I asked her who she remembered ordering the second boba, because we all knew for sure that friend 1 ordered boba, and she said that friend 2 ordered boba. However, friend 1 said that I was the one who ordered boba, even though I know 100% I didn't, and I don't even like boba. After the waiter left, friend 2 and I still continued arguing about who ordered the boba, and he was adamant that he didn't order it. A cute little glitch, but just saying boba 20 times is funny. You know, when you say a word so many times, it doesn't have any meaning, it doesn't seem like real. It doesn't seem real. Case file number 2690, written by Changing Channels. Fowl play after dark. I am currently caring for a home farm. The chickens are free range, and there are 2 coops. In the morning they go free, and at night they climb in, and I lock the doors to protect them from predators. Yesterday I let them out of both coops in the morning, and when I went to close the doors last night, only 1 coop was full. The other only had 3 hens which had spent the day roosting. The rooster and all the other hens were nowhere to be found, not under the coop, not in the shelter inside, not all around the property or inside in any direction. I freaked out a little, worried if the thunderstorm yesterday had disoriented them too badly. But sometimes a rooster will stray for a night, so I thought maybe those hens just stuck by him and they'd show up today. I gave up searching, as it got seriously dark near 9 p.m. Well, they did come back. I went out at 7:15 a.m. They were all in the coop, all accounted for, waiting for me to come and get them food and explore the property as per usual. Either a neighbor somehow saw them and guided them back for me in the dark without alerting the dogs, or I'm losing my mind. Case file number 2691, written by Jedi1215. The Unbreakable Mystery. It was a broken piece of thick glass, like Pyrex, but it wasn't sharp and couldn't cut anyone. I found nothing in my house that would explain where it came from. I wish I had taken a picture, but when I showed my husband when he got home, he shrugged and tossed it. Something weird happened right before this. You know how when you go to pick something up and it's lighter than you think? Well, I was bringing a pan to my sink to wash it. I lifted the pan, and it hit the top of the fan above the stove. I said, "Whoops," and turned to take it towards the sink, and that piece of glass was on the floor. I immediately looked to see if there was any broken glass in that kitchen fan, and there was 0 glass there. I looked all around where it would have come from, and nothing. It was kind of like a mouse. I feel like I would have seen the pieces on the floor had it been there this whole time, because I was cleaning my kitchen and was almost done. Case file number 2692, written by Ghost in Pattern. I logged a glitch in time itself. Something I've experienced twice, once in 2009 and again in 2021. In both cases, it was bright daylight, in the middle of the day, and then suddenly a flicker. Not like a power surge inside, but as if the environment itself dropped a frame. In 2021, it happened again. I was working on a solar inverter in my garage. Sunlight through the window just cut for maybe a tenth of a second, like someone flipped a bouillon. No noise, no cloud, just a full ambient drop. My instruments didn't register any voltage dip. I keep a local time-sync script running on a secondary machine as part of a home monitoring setup. The interesting part is, during that window, the NTP offset jumped by 1.4 seconds and then self-corrected. Logs show it, but the main OS didn't register anything. I've worked in embedded systems and hardware QA for 20 years. I've seen rare conditions, loopbacks, and rare edge cases, but this felt like something upstream stuttered, like the master clock faltered, not my gear. I've never been able to explain it. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe there's more to photonic coherence in our atmosphere than we understand, or maybe time isn't as smooth as we like to pretend it is. Well, space-time, all part of the same fundamental layer of the simulation. And yeah, having this glitch happen where you can actually register, you have evidence via this time anomaly on your gear exactly when this happened. That is so fascinating to me. And I think these glitches they grip me the most, although they kind of terrify me, where the simulation isn't perfect. In our everyday lives, it kind of feels that way. If this is a computer simulation, it really doesn't have many glitches, or it has great error-correcting systems. But, man, when you get to this point where the entire system freezes and hangs, like a computer crashing in the real world, I just hate that. I don't want the idea of the simulation to be unstable, like the fundamental layer. Whew, that's terrifying. What happens if it crashes and we're all still connected to it? Do we just go away? Our consciousness fades into oblivion? I hope not. Case file number 2693, written by OKVegetable7799. Daylight dims, birds swirl, and time feels off. Today, I'm sitting in my living room, and all of our blinds are open. It's a sunny day around 3 p.m. All of a sudden, for a split second, it was like the power went off and back on. I started to say something to my husband, and then I stopped myself because I realized none of our lights were on in the house, as it was daylight and sunny. Instead, I said, "Never mind," because I wasn't about to try and explain it and thought it was just me, that I had blinked or imagined it. My husband says, "What? Were you about to ask about the light flickering outside?" He saw it too. It was like someone turned the light off outside for a split second. It happened way too quickly for it to be a cloud blocking the sun. And wouldn't a plane be too far away to completely make it look like it's pitch black outside for a quick second? Also, my husband in the other room looked outside and said shortly after that he saw some birds in the neighborhood flying around in a circle. Not sure if that was a coincidence or not. Well, I don't know about the birds. Maybe if this is a fundamental error in the simulation itself, and birds are active players, or even if they're not, they could be programmed, so any input that is deviated from normal will still send them panicking. If the entire simulation buckles, that would apply even to the magnetic field of the planet, right? So they would be momentarily confused because they couldn't see anything and they couldn't navigate how they normally do. Birds use magnetic fields. They have molecules in their brain that align to the orientation of the field so they can know basically if they're going south or north, which is pretty cool. That would be so weird, even for the birds. The birds might actually be the biggest clue that this is really happening. Not just in your minds, but the whole simulation. At least for that local area. I think it's grid-based, personally. Maybe it's grid-based, maybe it's circle-based, but basically, there's different layers. There's a layout to the simulation on the planet. Maybe in the whole universe, I don't know, but different servers are responsible for different areas or blocks. And, where more people are, there's probably a greater level of server intensity there. This is how they work in EVE Online, where if they have a big battle going, they assign more server space to that local cluster. I think it would work the same way if this is a simulation. So yeah, that particular server failed and then was taken over by a different one very quickly, but not so quickly that you don't notice. Case file number 2694, written by Tat Sand, Massaging the Fabric of Reality. It was approximately 5:30 p.m. AEST, Australia. I work in an exotic massage parlor, so it was exactly 5:25 p.m. when I began the exotic part of a massage. Trust me, I know exactly what time I started because the guy booked an hour, and that's what I was getting paid for. We watched the clock religiously. Started the massage at 4:55 p.m. I know this because he was booked for 5 p.m. and arrived a tad early. I started the exotic part at 5:25 p.m. again, and he had paid until 5:55 p.m. Now, I know exactly what he paid for, trust me. I'm not going to do anything for free, so I know what it was. However, after he was done, I walked him out, reset my room and massage table, and checked the clock again, and it was 5:30 p.m.? First, it's literally not possible for me to have given him all his services in 5 minutes. Not to mention, he also had to get dressed, be walked out, and me clean and reset the room. It's simply not possible for all this to happen in 5 minutes. It's also not possible for me to get the time wrong, as I gave him his massage first. We do half an hour of massage, half an hour of extras, and I had done my complete standard half-hour massage. And trust me when I say we really watched the clock. I talked to my boss and she told me she was also confused why the guy was leaving after only half an hour, but she said she figured he was happy as he made no complaints at all. He also seemed to think he had had the full time he had paid for. It's like it was 1 hour for us, but when we left the room, we were exposed to the reality where only 35 minutes had passed. I returned to the room in that reality and saw the clock. It might just be a localized time glitch, and is it even a glitch? This is a fundamental fact of reality baked into space-time where if you move fast enough, time for you slows down relative to everyone else. You don't feel any different in the moment where you're at, but outside in the universe, time is just not moving as quickly. Now, obviously, you weren't in some spaceship in the massage parlor, but clearly something was warping time. Gravity can do that too, but there was no black hole nearby, so this is a real effect, but I don't know what the cause would be. So maybe it is a glitch, maybe some code was in that area that was programming it to have the effect of the Lorentz transformation. Maybe. Case file number 2695, written by Chesh Cat Russ. Through a shorter glass, darkly. Our family used to live in an apartment. Inside in the hallway, next to the entrance door, we had this big wardrobe with a mirror. It had been bought decades ago. On the wall facing that wardrobe, there was a second, very big, rectangular mirror. Don't judge my parents' decor decisions. I don't know why they needed to. It was also a pretty narrow corridor, so I remember always being kind of spooked looking into the wardrobe mirror. I always feared I would see someone or something reflected in the big mirror behind my back, and vice versa. Then when I went to college, returned back, changed places and again went to live in another city. Then COVID hit, and I returned to live in my hometown. At that point, my parents had bought themselves a new flat for retirement. My siblings had long moved out, and my parents were thinking about selling that apartment to pay off their new mortgage. So the place was vacant, and I went to stay there. To my surprise, now the big rectangular mirror was shorter by about 10 inches, almost a perfect square now. There was no way you could be reflected in both mirrors at once. I was kind of weirded out. I asked my parents whether they had moved the mirror. They looked at me funny, saying something like, "Who would move a giant heavy thing? I think they even left it in that home when they sold it." I remember sending a video message to my sister where I showed her that, "Look, now you can't be reflected in both mirrors at once, and I don't remember this large mirror being this short." She replied along the lines of, "LOL, it's always been like that." And yet, I remember being spooked by the mere idea of being reflected in those two mirrors at once for years. I remember them always being one facing the other, the large one being this long rectangular shape, and not square. How could I remember always being reflected in both mirrors, if that was impossible? Case file number 2696, written by Momom Mommy. Your balance has shifted. About a month ago, I had a doctor's appointment and planned to go to the grocery store on my way home. The night before, my husband had used my debit card to fill the car with gas, so I had to grab it out of his wallet. No big deal. I put it in my wallet right away, kissed him goodbye, and hopped in the car. He saw me take the card and put it in my wallet. He even mentioned he was going to remind me to do that. When I go to my doctor's office, I took my wallet off my keychain and dropped it in the center console. I didn't have pockets, and I don't carry a purse, so I just wanted my key. This is my usual routine, not weird, not new, not unique. I get out and lock my car, like normal. The car beeps because my husband's key is in the car, and you can't do the touch to lock with the key still inside. So, I use my fob and lock it. I know I locked it. I go in and do my appointment. It's a quick one, like 10 minutes, which was odd but not anything I even thought about twice at first. It was a follow-up on results and just had to be in person. I go out to my car and get in. It was an oddly hot day, so before I even shut the door, I start the car. As soon as I shut the door, something fell from above me to my lap. It was blue as it passed my face. I assumed it was a little note. My husband likes to leave me little notes I'll find at random. Maybe it was a post-it note that I hadn't seen in the visor, and my messy bun snagged it enough to knock it down when I got in. Nope. There on my lap was my debit card, the one I put in my wallet earlier. I only have one. I sat there for a moment trying to figure out where it came from. I checked my wallet thinking maybe I grabbed my husband's debit card earlier, but there was no debit card in my wallet. My visor was down from driving earlier, so it wasn't like I weirdly stuck it there and forgot. I've never stuck anything in my visor in this car anyway, so that would be way off. I know it came from above me because I watched it fall. My wallet was where it tossed it, and nothing was disturbed in my car, like my glove box wasn't rummaged in as if someone broke in. I hadn't done anything different than normal that day, and I've done the same thing multiple times since, like moving a card from my husband's wallet to mine, disconnecting my keys and wallet, tossing the wallet in the middle, starting the car with the door open. It hasn't happened again. Think about it every time I get in the car now. How did it get out of my wallet and above me? Why did it do that? Where was it hiding before I got in? Or did it just poof into the air and fall into my lap? I really don't like not knowing how it happened. Now time for the jokes of the day. Beyoncé is refusing to hire roofing companies that aren't woman-owned. She hires only shingle ladies, only shingle ladies, only shingle ladies, only shingle ladies. I was at the grocery store and the kid bagging my stuff asked if I wanted paper or plastic. I told him I didn't care and he could decide for me. He told me that I had to pick because baggers can't be choosers. Did you know Vin Diesel only eats 2 meals a day? Breakfast and break furious. And he always eats with family. Woke up holding a wooden spoon and mixing bowl. My wife said, "Rough night?" I'm like, "Yeah, how'd you know?" "You were stirring in your sleep." I asked my wife why she hadn't wanted to drive her new car around for the first 90 days. She said it was part of the finance agreement. 0% interest for the first 3 months. Like the video, subscribe, hit the bell. Kinetic Symphony signing off.